After 4 long years of silence was finally broken in May of this year, we finally got a look at Final Fantasy VII Remake in a close to completed state. This was then followed up by the June showing at E3 2019, which unveiled an explosive amount of new details. In just a short amount of time, we went from maybe 2.5 minutes of gameplay that we had been holding on to for years to now getting well over 20 minutes worth, and most of which being actual gameplay. I'm actually starting to feel that whole promise being made thing come to life. And now we're already looking for our next fix of the game in the form of new screenshots, trailers, and information-rich interviews, though it may not be much longer before we get our next peek at the game, with Final Fantasy VII Remake making a few public appearances in the coming week, starting with San Diego Comic-Con, which is Thursday, July 18th through Monday, July 22nd. While the game won't be playable there, or at least with no confirmation that I could find, Square Enix will have a presence at the show, including a motorcycle that was featured at E3, giving you another chance to ride it if you missed the chance at Los Angeles. While I don't think too much new information will come from the San Diego Comic-Con presentation, if anything because it's a Comic-Con and not a gaming convention, it's the next presentation that has me excited. Final Fantasy VII Remake will be present at the Hong Kong Games Festival, taking place July 26th through July 30th, which is where I have a strong suspicion you can expect to see some bigger pieces of new information and possibly even some new footage to come out about the game. Though you might think what's so big about the Hong Kong Games Festival? More than you might think. China is currently neck and neck with the United States for the largest gaming market in the world. Currently, China sits at the #1 spot for the biggest market, though analysts project the United States to take back the #1 spot by the end of 2019. But it's not that China is slowing down, it's that the United States is experiencing exponential growth this generation, thanks to strong domestic sales of the PlayStation 4, the Nintendo Switch, and yes, even the Xbox One. That being said, Nico Partners projects the Chinese gaming market to hit $41.5 billion and to have 767 million players by 2023. This is why so many companies are absolutely determined to be on the Chinese market at the moment. Sony will be featuring their presence there, as they've been making an ongoing effort to popularize the PlayStation brand in China, which is currently overwhelmingly dominated by PC and mobile. Their show is slated to include titles like Iron Man VR, Death Stranding, Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and of course Final Fantasy VII Remake. And with the way Square Enix has approached preparing proprietary content for each showing of Final Fantasy XV, including mini conventions, showing the game well outside of the normal ones they would in North America and Japan, there's a very high chance they'll repeat this same marketing approach with Final Fantasy VII Remake. With these factors in mind, it stands to reason that the next update for Final Fantasy VII Remake might be happening soon at the Hong Kong Games Festival. Now, don't expect anything like a new demo, outside of the one that was already established for the bombing mission that was playable at E3. That being said, I do suspect at the very least, there will be some new information regarding the game in the form of interviews, and at the most, I think we could potentially see a few new minutes of gameplay that we've never seen before. In fact, if they do anything, they should publicly show off a walkthrough of the E3 demo, as only people who were at the show got to take a look at it, so that would be a way to show off something new without showing off something new. Or even the private demo that Maximilian Dude and some of the other press got to see that nobody else got to see publicly. Cause right now that thing is privater than private, and only a few industry people got to take a look at it, so that makes me even more curious. But for now, we only know that the game will be there, and at the very least, I firmly believe we'll be getting some new information. Though speaking of new information, I thought this was cool and I wouldn't be able to fit it anywhere else. Square Enix showed off a higher resolution of some concept art for Sector 1's Mako reactor, and compared it to the present real-time version in-game. And honestly, it just feels so spot on. It just makes me tingle with excitement looking at this stuff, but also how wonderful the artistic inspiration is for this reinterpreted world of Final Fantasy VII. I absolutely love it. With all that said, Ultima Weapons, do you think Square Enix and Sony will be showing off any new information, screenshots, or gameplay footage at the Hong Kong Game Show? Subscribe, click the bell icon, and let me know in the comments below. And if you've been enjoying my content, be sure to check out the Patreon for the Night Sky Prince. It's really awesome to see people like Angeal that can help keep this community alive, and that no matter what, I'll always be here to keep making more videos. Shout out to Angeal and the rest of the Ultima community.